The alarm screamed through the metal corridors of Outpost Theta 9, shaking dust from the ceiling. Red lights flashed like dying hearts. Outside the glass panels, a massive storm boiled over the alien desert, purple lightning tearing the sky apart. Eli Ward, the last human engineer on the station, ran across the command deck, his breath harsh inside the cracked helmet. "Come on, hold together," he muttered, pressing keys with trembling fingers. The reactor readouts flickered wildly, temperature rising, coolant almost gone. "Eli, evac now." Commander Rin's voice burst through the comm, full of static and panic. "The alien fleet is taking off. You've got 30 seconds. Eli looked around the shattered control room. Panels were ripped open, sparks spraying the floor. "If I leave, the whole station goes up," he said. "You'll lose the colony shield and the storm will spread across the sector." There was a long pause. Then Rin said coldly, "We can't wait for one human." And the channel cut. Eli froze. Outside, through the viewport, he saw the evacuation ships rising, one after another, blue thrusters disappearing into the thick violet clouds. For a second, he just stood there staring. Then he cursed under his breath and slammed his hands onto the reactor console. "Fine, I'll do it alone." He pulled open a toolbox and ripped out a coolant line, forcing it into the emergency vent. The room hissed with cold mist. His hands burned from the heat, gloves melting. The temperature dropped slowly. 102%, 98%, stabilizing. The rumble of the core faded into silence. He collapsed against the console, panting. The outpost was saved, but every ship was gone. Through the static of the comm, only one automated message remained. Human presence. Lost. The storm outside roared louder, as if laughing. Eli limped down the hall, the emergency lights blinking. Every corridor looked the same, silent, broken, filled with smoke. He passed the canteen where laughter once echoed, the crew quarters still filled with half-packed bags. He picked up a child's drawing, a stick-figure human holding hands with an alien girl under two suns. It made his throat tighten. "They all made it out," he whispered, though he didn't believe it. Then, crackle. His comm flickered to life. A faint, broken voice whispered through the static. "Is someone still out there?" Eli froze. He turned slowly, scanning the dark corridor. "Hello, who is this?" No answer, only the faint hiss of wind, then again, clearer this time. "Please, help me." It was a child's voice, weak, afraid. Eli's heart pounded. Every instinct screamed it was a trap. The alien storm forces often used distress calls to lure survivors, but there was something real in the trembling tone. A raw, terrified sound no machine could fake. He adjusted his scanner. A faint life signal blinked 2 levels below near the cargo tunnels. Low oxygen, unstable temperature. Whoever it was, they wouldn't last long. He hesitated. "Could be a ghost," he muttered. "Or worse," another whisper. "It's dark here. I can't move my legs." That was all he needed. Eli grabbed his repair torch and flashlight and forced open the emergency hatch. The tunnel below was nearly collapsed, twisted metal and shattered glass. As he crawled through, the wind outside screamed like voices. Every few seconds, purple lightning lit up the ruins through the cracks above. Finally, he reached the source of the signal. Beneath a fallen support beam lay a small figure, barely breathing. Not human. Her skin glowed faintly silver under the flickering light. Faint bioluminescent veins shimmered across her temple. Her breathing was shallow, her eyes half open, filled with pain and fear. She was just a child. Eli knelt beside her. His scanner confirmed a fracture, oxygen depletion, internal bleeding. He hesitated. This was the enemy species, the same race whose war machines had destroyed human colonies for decades. The rational part of him said, "Leave her." The soldier part said, "End it." But the human part, the one still clinging to decency, said, "Save her." He lifted the beam with all his strength, pain shooting through his arms. She cried out softly, her voice trembling. "Why, are you helping me, human?" He looked at her, sweat and ash streaking his face. "Because," he said, "someone has to start being better." He carried her out through the ruins as the storm raged outside, lightning framing them in violet light. In the distance, the alien ships vanished beyond the clouds. The outpost was silent again, but Eli was not alone anymore, and deep inside the storm, something ancient stirred, watching. The storm raged outside for 2 days without pause. The sky was a constant sea of violet and thunder, its lightning crawling like veins across the horizon. Inside the broken outpost, Eli Ward worked in near darkness, patching power lines and sealing cracks in the walls. Every few minutes, he turned to check on the small alien girl lying on a med cot, Kira. She was no older than 10 by human standards, though her kind aged differently. Her skin glowed faintly even in sleep like silver under moonlight. Eli had wrapped her injured leg in a splint, but she was weak, barely able to open her eyes. He sat beside her, staring at the flickering flame of a portable heater. His food rations were almost gone, just a few protein bars and one bottle of water. He broke a bar in half and placed the smaller piece near her. When she stirred, her eyes opened, large, pale, and frightened. "Where am I?" she whispered. "Still alive," Eli said quietly. "That's what matters." She tried to sit up, then winced. "You shouldn't have helped me. If my people find you, they'll kill you." Eli shrugged, forcing a faint smile. "Guess I'll just have to make sure they don't." Kira blinked in confusion. "Humans never stay. They run from the storm." Eli looked away. "Yeah, well, mine ran too." His voice broke slightly at the end. For a long moment, there was silence. Only the hum of the heater and the distant roar of the storm filled the room. Then softly, Kira said, "You could have left me there." Eli didn't answer right away. He was adjusting the oxygen filters, but his hands paused. "You were calling for help," he said. "That's reason enough." She tilted her head, studying him with alien curiosity. "Even if I'm not one of you?" He met her gaze. "Especially then." Kira lowered her eyes. Her people had always called humans heartless, destroyers of ecosystems, scavengers who took more than they gave. Yet this one was starving, cold, and still feeding her first. Later, when the storm finally eased a little, Eli ventured into the storage bay. The lights flickered weakly as he searched through the wreckage. Most of the food was spoiled and the emergency water tanks were cracked, but he found a few sealed oxygen packs and a small jar of dried alien herbs. When he brought them back, Kira's eyes lit up faintly. "You found breath leaf," she said. "It helps lungs breathe in thin air." Eli raised an eyebrow. "You mean this stuff?" She nodded and showed him how to crush it between metal plates. The aroma filled the air, sharp, clean, almost sweet. He placed some near the heater and took a deep breath. His chest, tight for days, suddenly loosened. "Not bad," he said, coughing lightly. "Smells like mint mixed with smoke." Kira smiled faintly. It was the first time he saw her smile, and in that moment the storm outside felt a little quieter. Hours passed. Eli taught her how to operate a human scanner to check her pulse, and she taught him how to purify air using the alien method of vapor release. They didn't speak much, but something was changing between them, a fragile bond growing in the ruins of war. As night fell, Eli checked the comm tower again. The screen displayed only static and an endless red warning. "Signal jammed, source unknown energy field." He slammed the console in frustration. "They left us to die, Kira. My own fleet didn't even look back." Kira's voice came softly from behind him. "Sometimes, even the stars abandon us." He turned and saw her struggling to stand, leaning on a crutch he'd made from scrap metal. She looked small but defiant. "Sit down before you fall again," he said, but she didn't. She looked at him with tears shining in her eyes. "My father, he's part of the High Council. He made the storm. He said it would destroy your kind forever." Eli froze. "Your father?" She nodded weakly. "I didn't know it would kill children too. The energy, it eats life. It's not supposed to exist." Eli's mind raced. The storm wasn't natural, it was a weapon. And if her father was part of it, then this girl carried the secret to stopping it. He stood there watching her trembling hands. "You didn't choose what he did," he said. "But you can choose what you'll do now." Kira's voice cracked. "And what can I do, human? I can barely walk." "You can survive," Eli said, walking over to hand her a ration. "And you can tell me everything about that storm." She took the bar, her fingers brushing his glove. "And you'll trust me?" Eli nodded. "I already do." She stared at him, stunned by the words. No one in her world had ever said that to her, not even her father. Outside, thunder rolled again. But this time the storm didn't sound like anger. It sounded like a heartbeat. And for the first time since the colony fell, Eli Ward didn't feel alone. The next morning began in eerie silence. The storm clouds above outpost Theta 9 hung motionless, like a beast waiting to strike again. The purple glow had dimmed, but static energy still danced along the cracked walls. Eli Ward stood over the control console, wiping sweat from his brow. He'd been working since dawn, trying to restore the main systems. The comms flickered on and off, power unstable. He muttered under his breath, "Come on, just give me something." Behind him, Kira sat near the heater, wrapped in a thermal blanket too big for her. Her silver skin shimmered faintly in the dim light. She was quieter than usual, her eyes distant, haunted. "You didn't sleep?" Eli said without looking at her. She shook her head. "I saw the storm again. In my dreams it eats everything. The ground, the sky, even the stars." Eli turned to her, his expression softening. "You said your father built it, why?" She hesitated, then closed her eyes. "Because humans fought back. That made him pause." She continued, her voice trembling. "When your fleets destroyed our mining moons, the Council decided to end all wars by fear. They created a living storm, made from a fusion of plasma and neural energy. It feeds on heat, sound, and life itself. It doesn't stop until it's full." Eli stared at the display. The storm's readings matched everything she said. Unstable bioenergy signatures. A living weapon. "Your people unleashed it," he said quietly, "and now it's out of control." Kira looked away. It wasn't supposed to turn back. It was meant to consume the human colonies, then die. But it learned. It adapts to every system it touches. Eli exhaled slowly. The idea that a weapon could learn was terrifying. "So it's feeding on this planet's life now?" She nodded, tears forming. "It will feed on anything alive, even me. Even you." For a moment there was nothing but the hum of failing machinery between them. Eli leaned over the console and began typing rapidly. If it's a bioenergy system, it must have a control core. Something central. Something that listens. Kira watched him, her curiosity returning through the guilt. "You think you can stop it?" "I can try," he said. "But I'll need to find where it listens from." They spent the next hour scavenging through the lower levels of the outpost. The air was thin and cold, and dust fell from the ceiling every time thunder cracked above. Eli used his wrist scanner to map the underground tunnels. Most were collapsed, but one route led directly beneath the surface generator, the perfect place for the storm's signal anchor. As they walked, Kira held a small light crystal, its glow casting moving patterns on the walls. "Your kind builds with metal and wire," she said softly. "We build with memory." Eli smiled faintly. "Memory, huh? Must be nice when your buildings don't break every other week." She tilted her head. "You joke even when you're afraid." "Habit," he said. "Keeps me from falling apart." When they reached the generator room, it was half flooded with purple mist. The air buzzed like a hive of angry insects. In the center floated a sphere of living energy, crackling, pulsing like a heartbeat. The walls vibrated with each pulse. Kira froze. "That's it. The storm's heart." Eli stepped closer, his visor tinting automatically. "It's beautiful," he whispered, "and deadly." Every instinct told him to run, but instead he studied it. The sphere emitted faint sound waves like a whisper repeating itself. He adjusted his scanner until the translation module caught fragments of the frequency. "Feed, preserve, consume." Eli's stomach tightened. "It's not just energy. It's trying to think." Kira's breathing quickened. "It's learning through everything it touches. That's why it hasn't stopped. It doesn't know how to die." He circled the core, connecting his data pad. "If we can feed it a false pattern, something that confuses it, it might shut itself down." "But how?" she asked. "It ignores logic. It listens to emotion." He looked up sharply. "Emotion?" She nodded. "It feeds on fear, rage, despair. But it cannot understand love or selflessness. Those are alien to it." Eli's eyes softened as he glanced at her. "Then maybe we can use that." They worked through the night. Eli rerouted the signal transmitters, while Kira infused the circuits with her species' light crystals. The combination of human tech and alien bioenergy glowed with strange harmony. At one point as they rested, Kira said quietly, "You're not like the others I heard about." Eli chuckled weakly. "I get that a lot." "No," she insisted. You fix things, even broken people." He met her eyes. For a moment he couldn't speak. Then gently he said, "Maybe that's all humans are good at, fixing what's already falling apart." The air grew still. Outside the thunder faded. The storm seemed to hesitate as if listening. Eli frowned. It's reacting to us. To the energy we're creating, Kira whispered. It can hear us? He nodded. Maybe it's curious. Maybe it doesn't know what mercy sounds like. They activated the new transmitter. The outpost lights flickered blue, the hum deepening until it felt like a heartbeat matching theirs. The storm outside began to shift, its lightning flashing slower, its winds softening. For one fleeting moment, the planet was silent. Then the console beeped a warning. Overload detected. Power instability, Eli cursed. It's working too fast, the system's burning out. Kira ran to the terminal. If we stop now, it will recover. He met her gaze. If we don't stop it now, it will reach orbit. It'll feed on the next colony, too. She looked at him, terrified. Then what do we do? He placed his hand on hers, steady. We finish what we started. As lightning exploded outside once more, the storm began to scream. Not wind, but a voice. Eli gritted his teeth. It's fighting back, Kira shouted over the noise. It knows we're trying to kill it. He looked at her, fire in his eyes. Then it finally learned fear. And as the generator core blazed like a sun, Eli realized they had only minutes before it would either collapse or take them both with it. The storm outside the outpost had grown restless again. Purple clouds swirled in wide circles above the cracked dome, flashing with lightning that made the entire horizon pulse like a living heartbeat. Inside, alarms screamed once more. Sparks rained from the ceiling. The power core at the heart of the generator was near meltdown. Eli Ward hunched over the main console, hands moving fast, typing commands with precision that bordered on desperation. His face was pale under the flickering lights, sweat sliding down his jaw. Across the room, Kira tried to stabilize the crystal conduits. Her small hands trembled as she pushed the glowing shards into place, merging alien technology with human hardware. Come on, Eli muttered. Just a few more seconds. The console beeped. Signal reached orbit, transmission active. A faint smile crossed his face. We did it. It's listening. But before Kira could respond, the entire room shook. Through the cracked dome above, light streaks appeared, ships breaking through the atmosphere. Kira gasped, her eyes widening. That's my father's fleet, Eli froze. You're sure? She nodded weakly. They must have tracked the storm's frequency. He's here, he came. For the first time since the attack, hope flickered in her eyes. She limped toward the window, staring up as sleek silver ships descended like shining daggers through the clouds. Eli's instincts screamed danger. Kira, we need to stay hidden. But she shook her head. No, he'll help us stop it. He has to. She ran toward the hangar doors, her voice breaking as she activated her communicator. Father, it's me, Kira. I'm alive. Static answered at first, then a cold, powerful voice filled the room. Kira, by the stars, it is you. Her face lit up with relief. Yes, I'm at Theta 9. I'm with a human. He helped me survive. The storm, Father, it's alive. It's feeding. The voice cut her off sharply. You're with a human? Eli's stomach sank. The tone wasn't relief. It was fury. Kira hesitated. He saved my life. We found a way to stop the storm. Please, you must listen. Enough. Her father roared. That creature is manipulating you. Step away from him immediately. Eli stepped forward, speaking into the comm. She's telling the truth. I have data to prove the storm's sentience. If we silence human. The connection ended with a harsh crack. Outside, one of the ships lowered its weapons. Eli turned to Kira, his expression grim. He's not here to help us. Tears filled her eyes. No, he wouldn't. The ground shook as the first blast hit. A beam of light tore through the outpost wall, flinging metal and dust everywhere. Eli tackled Kira to the ground just before debris collapsed where she had stood. Smoke filled the air. Kira coughed, covering her mouth. Why are they firing? Because they think I turned you against them, Eli said bitterly. To them, humans are monsters. Another blast. The room shuddered. Warning lights flashed red. Through the chaos, Kira's communicator flared again. Her father's face appeared in a broken hologram, silver armor gleaming, eyes cold as ice. You are my daughter, he said. But if you stand beside that thing, you will die with it. Eli's voice cut through the static. Then you'll be killing the only person who can save your world. Her father ignored him. Guards, fire on the human! The transmission ended. Kira's heart pounded. Her hands trembled so hard she almost dropped the communicator. She looked at Eli, bleeding, exhausted, still trying to reboot the power systems. "You have to run," she said, voice breaking. He glanced at her, half smiling through the blood on his lips. "Run where, kid?" "They're everywhere." She grabbed his arm. "Please, if you die, the storm wins." He touched her shoulder gently. "It's okay. You've already done enough." A loud crash echoed as the ceiling burst open. Alien soldiers stormed inside in full armor, rifles glowing with blue plasma. They aimed at Eli instantly. Kira stepped in front of him, spreading her arms wide. "No," she screamed. "Don't shoot." Her father entered behind them, tall, imposing, and furious. "Step aside, Kira." "I won't," she cried. "He saved me." "He saved all of us." "Enough," he growled, raising his hand. A blast of energy flashed toward Eli. Kira moved without thinking. The beam struck her shoulder, throwing her to the ground. She screamed in pain, clutching her arm, glowing blood spilling between her fingers. Eli shouted her name and ran to her side, lifting her head. "Stay with me, kid. Stay with me." Her father froze. For a moment, shock replaced rage. "Kira," but Eli was already moving. He reached for the control lever beside the console, the one that would manually transmit the shutdown code into the storm's core. The system was unstable, overloaded, and would explode if activated manually. Kira looked up at him through tears. "Eli, don't," he smiled sadly. "Someone's got to finish the job." Her voice cracked. "Please, you'll die." He brushed a strand of her silver hair from her face. "Yeah, but maybe this time dying means something." He stood, turned to her father, and said in a steady voice, "Tell her story right. Tell them the human didn't hate you." Then he slammed the lever down. The world turned white. A deafening roar filled the sky. The storm outside screamed as the control pulse spread through its core, shutting it down from within. The lightning froze mid-air, then imploded in a wave of light. When it was over, the sky was clear. The storm was gone. But so was Eli. All that remained was his burned-out datapad, still showing the words, "System shutdown complete." Kira crawled toward it, tears blurring her vision. She clutched the datapad to her chest and whispered, "You didn't fall, human. You rose." The storm that had raged across the alien world for years was gone. The skies that once glowed with violet lightning were now a quiet ocean of silver and blue. For the first time in decades, sunlight touched the ruins of Outpost Theta 9. The wreckage still smoked. Metal melted into the sand, ships half buried in ash. And in the middle of it all, Kira knelt among the ruins, her once bright skin now dulled with dust and blood. She clutched Eli Ward's burnt datapad to her chest, trembling. Around her, alien soldiers moved silently, their weapons lowered, their faces pale with disbelief. None dared speak. None knew what to say. Her father, High Commander Vareth, stood nearby, armor scorched, eyes shadowed. He had seen the impossible, the storm, their great weapon, die with one human's final act. The silence was suffocating. Only the faint hum of the wind moved through the broken halls. Kira slowly pushed herself to her feet, ignoring the pain in her shoulder. Her voice, though weak, carried through the air. "He's gone." But he stopped it. "He stopped your storm." Vareth turned toward her, his expression unreadable. He sacrificed himself for nothing that would have saved him. He was a fool. Her eyes flashed with fury. "No," she said, stepping closer. "He was human." The word human echoed like thunder among the soldiers, once a word of hatred, now something heavier, different. Kira walked past them, limping toward the open air, her blanket fluttering like a torn flag behind her. Outside, the sunlight blinded her for a moment. The air smelled different now, clean, alive. She lifted her gaze toward the horizon. The storm's energy had dissipated completely, leaving behind a strange stillness, a fragile peace. She whispered, "You did it, Eli. You really did it." Days later, in the alien capital city, word spread fast. The human sacrifice became a story that refused to die. Soldiers whispered about the man who faced their storm alone. Children drew his image in the sand. Even the council tried to silence the story, but truth had already taken root. In the council hall, Kira stood before the rulers of her world. Her right arm was still wrapped in bandages, but her eyes burned bright. "You built a weapon that could eat the stars," she said, voice shaking but strong. "And a man you called an animal gave his life to destroy it," the council murmured in discomfort. One elder hissed. "You speak like a traitor." She met his gaze without flinching. "If compassion is treason, then I am proud of it." Her father sat at the center of the chamber, silent. For the first time in his life, he had no command to give. Kira continued, her voice softening.
"He could have let me die."
"He could have left me to the storm. But he didn't," he said. "Someone has to start being better." That line hit like a pulse through the room. Some looked away in shame. Others listened, unblinking. She placed Eli's datapad on the table before the council. The words still glowed faintly across the cracked screen. "System shutdown complete." "This," Kira said quietly, "is what better looks like." Months passed. Reconstruction began across the wastelands. Human survivors from distant colonies were found and brought into the cities for the first time, not as prisoners, but as guests. Children played under the clear skies, laughing at rain they had never seen before. And on the hill above the rebuilt Theta 9 outpost, a memorial stood, a tall spire of metal and crystal, half human alloy, half alien stone. At the top, carved in both languages, were the words, "For Eli Ward, the human they left behind. He did not fall to hate. He rose for peace." Kira often came there alone at dawn, carrying fresh flowers from the valley. She would place them at the base of the monument and sit in silence, listening to the wind. Sometimes she spoke aloud, as if he were sitting beside her again. "You know," she would whisper, smiling softly, "they stopped calling us enemies. The children are learning about Earth, about your oceans, your songs." Her eyes would glisten. "They even sing the one you taught me." She'd hum the tune, soft and slow. A melody Eli once sang while fixing the oxygen lines, his voice tired but full of hope. "When the stars fall quiet and the skies forget our name, we'll still shine somewhere. The same." The wind seemed to carry the words, echoing faintly through the valley. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Kira stood before the monument one last time. Her father approached quietly behind her, walking with the stiffness of age and regret. He stopped beside her, eyes on the name carved into the stone. "I was wrong," he said simply. She looked at him surprised. He continued, his voice low. "I thought power made us strong, but it was that human's mercy that ended our war." Kira nodded. "He showed me what strength really means." For a long time they stood in silence, father and daughter, soldier and survivor. Then her father bowed his head before the memorial. "May his name never fade." As the moons climbed higher, their light reflected off the metal spire, casting a beam upward into the night sky. Some said it reached the stars themselves, and somewhere, beyond space, beyond time, if souls could watch, maybe Eli Ward saw that light and smiled, because in a galaxy that had forgotten humanity's name, one act of compassion had made it eternal. And a message. Sometimes the smallest kindness can silence the loudest storms. Humanity isn't about surviving, it's about saving even when no one's watching.